Welcome back to the Deep Dig Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew, my other host right over there.
What's up? It's Dee. Good to see you again. Be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Drop some comments below. Let us know your thoughts.
Today we are talking Florida going to the national championship game, right? I wanted to open with that because you caught a lot of flack online for saying that this Florida team was not going to be good, and now they're coming off a loss from USF. So I'm gonna give you your flowers. I'm gonna give you your time to put together your manifesto right here and tell the Florida fans how you feel about Florida right now.
I didn't even say Florida was going to be bad. That wasn't even my take. And Florida fans got on my ass. All I said was, hey, this is a tough schedule. They have a coach that I don't trust. I think Florida is probably going 7-5 or 8-4. Billy Napier is getting fired. But if DJ Lagway continues to progress, that is a win for Florida. That is a good season, and you could feel good about that.
And I'll say to that, we got a lot of responses that said Florida's floor is 10 wins. Florida's floor is 11 wins. We had multiple comments that said that.
They were like, you just don't understand. You don't know Florida. This is a better team, and we're playing the same schedule pretty much. And Florida goes out there and loses in week 2 after playing nobody state to the University of South Florida. And honestly, clap it up for the Bulls. Realistically, this is 2 huge feathers in their cap. We have to, again, I try to talk winners first when it comes to this podcast. So let's go ahead and give the South Florida Bulls a round of applause here because they went out there. They didn't even have their best game. If we're going to be 100% honest, they didn't have their best game going out there, and they still beat Florida in the swamp.
The South Florida football team, dominant win against Boise State in the first week. Now they beat a ranked Florida. They face their biggest opponent now this Saturday against number 5 Miami. That game is going to be live on the CW when they got a random deal for a bunch of like nobody ACC schools, and now it's led to USF Miami in a huge matchup. If they even could just put up a good showing in the game, they should walk through the rest of their schedule and make it to the playoff.
Depending on what the score is, what you can get them as far as like the spread, you might take South Florida to cover. This is going to be a closer game than people think. I think Alex Golesh is the premier coach coming out now. Like, I think a lot of people have him circled when we are going to see Florida go down and fire Billy Napier, when we're seeing a couple of these big programs start to, side eye their coach, and they have Alex Golesh sitting there winning year after year after year with the South Florida Bulls. I think he is going to be a premier guy, and he is in the perfect spot because realistically, he can just wait for his dream job to come and fall into his lap because he is already a made man there with South Florida. And so South Florida, they went out there and put it on Florida. The Gators really just, it felt like they were playing with their food a little bit. Like they just didn't care. And I know that this was people want to call it a trap game. I don't think that week 2 coming off of you playing Long Island State or Long Island International, I don't think that is a trap game. Yeah, you had a big matchup coming up in week 3, but you're staring down the barrel at a USF team that just dog walked a ranked Boise State team who everyone had as the favorite to make the playoff in the G5. So this was not a trap game. This was not a game that they looked past. I think that, and if they did, then that's again on Billy Napier and his ability to be a coach, a head guy that you have to make decisions. The team goes as you go, and you've led them astray. So everyone's saying, oh, that was a trap game. They have LSU coming up this week. Bullshit. They knew exactly what they were getting into, and they got outplayed.
And this is a USF team that looked good against Miami last year.
They looked
Going
good
to the,
against Alabama last year. Last
yeah,
year, it came down to the fourth quarter when Alabama pulled away. But realistically, Alex Golish has continued to put up, good performance after good performance against Power Four schools.
SFU or South
USF.
Florida. South Florida is plus 17 against Miami this weekend, and money line is plus 550 if you think they're going to pull off the upset. Florida this week they have a bye, but oh no, they don't. They don't. Florida this week plays LSU, the number 3 team in the nation. Then they get Miami. Then they get Texas. Then they get Texas A&M. Then they get a really rowdy Mississippi State team. If you saw their post game locker room video, and then they get number 6 Georgia. Billy Napier has already said that he's not giving up play calling duties. How are you feeling about the Gators going into this next stretch?
Billy Napier is getting fired by the end of the stretch, realistically. So it's LSU, Miami, bye. Texas, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, bye. By that second bye, Billy Napier's fired. I'm calling it right now. Billy Napier's fired by the second bye.
Outside of Mississippi State, do you see them winning any of those games?
I think Florida, again, the thing is, I don't think Florida's a bad team. I think Florida is talented. The thing that I'm more concerned about is DJ Lagway's progression, his ability to learn and grow as a quarterback. We are not seeing that. He did not look even against I want to call him Long Island State or University or whatever international.
LIU Sharks.
Yeah, Nobody State. Against Nobody State, he didn't look great. In this game, did you see, I don't know if you saw the discourse online. They were calling him DJ Lagalele. They're basically DJU. Like, he just didn't look good this game. And I don't know if that's just because, again, it was a trap game. We were looking over it, or he just isn't progressing to what they thought he could do this year. It's not the giant step forward that they were expecting. So I'm concerned about that. I don't think this is a bad Florida team. I think that they probably will win a handful of those games, but I don't think it's going to be enough to. I think the losses are going to look really bad, if I'm going to be honest. And we already seen from this Florida team. Look at what Miami did to them last year, and you get the in-game locker or the in the locker room photo of like F this team and flipping off the camera. That is still there. That is still a culture in Florida, as long as Billy Napier is going to be there. So yeah, I'm concerned. I think that the losses are going to look really bad. I think that they have enough talent to sneak a few games, but are they going to have the morale at that point? Because if you get dog walked by LSU this weekend, what does that do for this locker room moving forward?
Yeah, I'd be really concerned if they get dog walked by LSU this week with the transfer portal the way it is. How many guys are going to say, actually, I'm not going to play any more games. I'm going to keep this year of eligibility. I'm going to, in this offseason, I'm going elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen it with a couple of people announcing that they are not going. They're like, all right, I'm going into the portal. I forgot who it was, but I think it was for Georgia. But yeah, that's already happening. And that's something that I think we're going to continue to see happen. If you look at what happened with Sluka last year, okay, I've outperformed what I think I can do in NIL, and so state is going to give me a boatload more money. I'm going to go ahead and bow out. I think you're right. I think that we can start to see that, especially because it is so early on in this season. If vibes get so bad, we are going to start to see people be like, hey, you know what? I'm done for this week. Go ahead and just go ahead and cancel me out.
And this is one of those games that I think LSU is not going to want to drop. Like, I think there's games in the SEC where you're like, okay, if we lose by a touchdown, we're still okay. This is one of those games where they're thinking, we need this win because later in our schedule, we might get a tough loss, and we need to be right around that 12 spot to get into the playoffs. So we're going to see a pretty motivated LSU team here.
And honestly, like, I think Brian Kelly coming off of the Clemson win, where they looked very, very good. That second half was dominant from LSU. Yeah, it doesn't show it on the scoreboard, but they were in control that entire second half, right? I think we both can agree on that. And then Dabo goes out there and basically disses both teams and says, hey, this is like having the final exam on the first day of class. They were a 62 and we were a 54 or whatever it was. Basically saying, hey, we both suck today. And Brian Kelly was like, no, we beat your ass the second half. I think Brian Kelly is looking at Florida and being like, we could kill this program. We could go out there and dirt them right now. If we go out there and embarrass Billy Napier and the Florida Gators, we can derail that entire program. I know he's licking his lips thinking, I could do this. I can get Garrett Nussmeier back in the limelight as far as the Heisman race. I think that there is a ton of implications if you go out there and you just absolutely destroy Florida this week.
And you know what? LSU can just unload the clip this week because next week they play Southeastern Louisiana Lions. So they can really just roll out the C team in no disrespect, Southeastern Louisiana, but the talent disparity is a little different there. So really LSU can just unload everything on this Florida team.
100%. So I expect them to. I really do think that there is blood in the water. And when it comes to these coaches in the SEC, not everyone is a nice guy. Like realistically, you smell blood, you go in for the kill. Brian Kelly is looking to do that. And we are going to see, I know he was able to fight it off last year in Billy Napier. It took a lot for him to just keep his job this offseason. It took so much. Ole Miss had to basically give him the game twice for him to keep his job. I don't know if you can repeat that performance moving forward. I really like this LSU team. I think that they're in the talks of SEC championship game by the end of this year. I think that they're in playoff talks. I think that this is a loaded roster, and everything that they do can exploit Florida this week. And I could look stupid by the end of it, but if I'm just betting against Billy Napier and the Florida Gators, then I will take that bet.
LSU's 9-point favorites. Money line is minus 370. Over under total points is 49. So there's pretty interesting, betting wise for that game. Anything else for this?
No, I mean, I would take again South Florida and the points. I think that's going to be a way closer game than people expect. I also think that you're 100% right. They don't even have to win this game. If they just keep it close, they have already positioned themselves as a prime candidate for that playoff spot for the group of 5. I think that they've put in their work. To have them ranked at 18, one notch above Alabama, is disrespectful. South Florida should be way higher. If they have, I think, again, they are the only team in the nation with 2 ranked wins at this point. They should be higher. Their resume is stacked right now.
All right, you guys let us know what you think in the comments. Please like, comment, subscribe.
Later.